Bang, bang. I'm on a 30-hour marathon. I think I've slept maybe an hour and 45 minutes in the last 30 hours. Blood's still pumping. Wanted to come live on air for the people. Still got a lift in. Did fucking 15 singles, power cleans, 315 pounds. 15 singles, pop, 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 in sequence. Perfect fucking technique. Tired to the bone. 37 years old in July. Still standing. Just witnessed a natural home birth from start to finish. Intense as fuck, as you can imagine. I think some motherfuckers were asking me for a protocol on how to instruct or how to lead gestation up into like a natural home birth. First of all, I'll tell you right now, natural home birth is the natural conclusion to any strong relationship. I've been rotating a theory that I think is extremely valid, that the more drugs a woman needs in pregnancy to make a delivery, the weaker the leadership was during gestation. Because ultimately, it is a two-way street. It does take two to tango. If you're a male leader in your household and you really are a man of the house and man of the kingdom, your woman will draw a copious amount of strength off of just the fumes of your sales. Just your mere presence is sort of the novocaine. It is sort of that hormonal transduction. So I think the strongest relationships naturally lead to a woman wanting to do it in a natural environment that she can curate on her own. She can fucking design the room the way she wants to design it. Let me tell you something. These water births are super legit. This was my first water birth, and it's just super easy. Little inflatable tub, pop in a fucking hose, run the line up into the fucking shower head, fill it up with hot water, boom, little playpen. And she's just in there chilling, switching positions, and the delivery is extremely seamless. At least it was in my case, as long as the diet's on point. It was fun. It was fun. I'll tell you something. That Valkyrie Athenian warrior fucking battle cry that women do, shit's strong. That shit hits for sure. It's like one of those echoes. I think Maximus fucking in Gladiator said that what you do in this life echoes in eternity. Those types of screams you'll never ever replicate in nature. There's just nothing that compares to it. It gets etched in your fucking head. 100%. Some other little fucking Snapple facts for you. During a pregnancy, it is 100% appropriate for a woman to sip on, and I'm not talking shotgunning, I'm talking sipping organic, biodynamic, natural wine. A lot of European women have been doing it for ages, Italians, French women. Only in America do we vilify and bastardize alcohol usage during pregnancy, and it's for obvious reasons because traditional industrial alcohol is fucking disgusting. It's wretched. It's got sawdust in it, fucking rat talons. It's a fucking medley of trash in a fucking barrel. But if you do it right and you pick the right vineyard, because let me tell you something, in the modern realm, the beauty of modernity is that you do have these psycho fanatical freaks who literally dedicate their life and their bloodline to growing the finest fucking grapes in the finest regions. And I'm talking, they have this down to a natural science. Even like the way the vineyard is pointed, the way they're planted, the angle of the sun, the way it hits the grapes, the altitude, the moisture, the irrigation, all that shit. So if you're getting fucking quality grapes, hey, little fucking sip of wine here and there ain't gonna hurt the pregnancy whatsoever. And right before labor, in the natural setting, like if the water breaks a little bit early and you're in pre-labor, she can sip on a glass of wine and just kind of relax before the first stage kicks in. Not harmful whatsoever. And that, again, this is a fucking European ethos. And it seems to me when it comes to these natural processes, they've definitely have that native vibe towards it. But it was fun. It was fun. It was a pleasure to be a part of the entire thing from A to Z and just witness the paradox, the paradox that life, death actually is what spawns life. Um, you know, in the womb, there's during the growth process of the embryo, there's moments in time where the embryo will have like a webbed claw for hands. That's literally what it would look like on a fucking scan. And it's only through death, it's only through those cells dying and sloughing off and going into the waste that reveals the human hand. And so, even before, I find the metaphor very, very ironic. Even before a beautiful life is born, a lot of processes are dying and being killed off in order for that life to happen. And those of you that have a giga brain can definitely extrapolate that metaphor out into a lot of different processes in life. So we're gonna shift gears. Someone asked me earlier today, it's just a random musing. Someone asked me my thoughts on Naval Ravikant. And I don't know too much about him. I've seen some of his quotes in circulation on Twitter. I've seen he's definitely got some hard-hitting one-liners that have definitely been immortalized in a lot of circles. Dude seems like a deep thinker. Um, and I didn't really know what I thought about him when somebody asked, because I'm not just not familiar with his work. Someone had mentioned that he might be a counterpart to mine or a part of the yin yang puzzle. So I fired up a talk with him, with this Kapil, whatever the fuck that guy's name is. And I'm just listening to him, and it just dawned on me, man, these tech billionaires. Tech has not paid off in a good way, my friends. And it is the easiest way to make money, bar none. That is a certified fact. You get very, very, very wealthy in tech, no doubt about it. However, the fact that there's no social aspect to it whatsoever, like if you go back 70 years in history, in order to get giga rich, in order to get the kind of rich that these fucking tech motherfuckers are, you had to literally rub shoulders and grease palms with the local constabulary. You had to have fucking connections to the fucking local law enforcement. You had to fucking, there's fucking bribery and fucking skullduggery and back alley deals and fucking like Mayor Daley in 1960 Chicago, shit like that. And so there was a very much a social aspect to stratifying the hierarchy. And so when I was thinking about Naval, obviously those of you that are familiar with my work, I absolutely do respect anyone who's mastered the game of capitalism and who's beaten the game. But but it is a cursed path because the era of the bad boy is over and it's been dead for some time. Because every man in the modern world is if you want to make big money, you're pretty much forced to make money in a super nerdy gay way. It's just what it is. It's just what the modern landscape offers. I mean, the best ways to make money are fucking dorky. Crypto, I mean, we can go on and on ad infinitum. They're fucking nerdy as fuck. And it's the consequences of this are fucking staggering. I remember it's funny because I come from the era, I'm an 80s baby, so I'm lucky because in my 20s, yeah, we had internet, but it was dinosaur internet. I remember fucking 56K modem. I remember America Online. The bottom line was I'm a hybrid. I'm a hybrid in the sense that I was around in the preeminence of internet, but I also was around in the brick and mortar times. Even gambling. as a full suite experience. In my 20s, if I wanted to place a bet for large action, I had to literally get on a fucking plane, sail through the skies in an aluminum can, land, jump in a fucking limo. If the line was too long for cabs, this was pre-Uber when they only had cabs in Vegas. And if I wanted to fucking get some action down and the cab line was snaking around, it was too long, I'd have to fucking pull out a hundo, go up to a limousine driver, toss him the 100, tell him to step on it, floor it across the fucking strip. This dude's bobbing and weaving on the fucking highway. I'm telling him I got a bet to place. We got to get there, depending on the time, right? Because everything was time dependent when I was in my 20s. We're talking like early 2000s. Early 2000s. So if I made a sale or I got a large bag in my possession and I wanted to go fire on a game, I had to fucking book a last minute flight, Southwest, boom, get on, land. If the cab line's long, I got to hop in the limo, boom, he gets me there. By the time I get to the sports book, which was super time dependent because live betting wasn't even a thing. So if you missed the game by a minute at tip off and you just literally got on a fucking 45-minute flight to Vegas from LA, you're fucked. You ain't getting action down on your bet. So if you like something, there were many times where I literally walked up to the fucking counter, and when I slid the fucking bricks of cash across the counter, I had like 45 seconds to spare before first pitch. And then there were other times where I wasn't so fortunate and I just couldn't place the bet at all. And you just went through that whole fucking process of greasing people up, fucking tipping this motherfucker to make this happen, speed this up here, fucking hike this line, call this motherfucker, make sure you're the first guy to get through the door when you land, all that shit. So it was a full suite experience. And what I'm telling you is when I had to place a bet in my 20s, it was inherently a social experience. I had to talk to like 45 different people before I even got to Vegas, before I'm all settled in. You know what I mean? And you're at that point, there's no crypto, there's no fucking e-commerce. So you're literally transporting duffel bags of cash. Like I come from that era where you win $1 million bet and you want to get that money right away, Vegas will pay you in bricks. And now you got to walk out of a casino with $1 million in a duffel bag. It ain't that fucking convenient, but there's a romance to that experience because you're just you're in Sin City. You're where the alert, games of chance are late or open fucking 24 hours a day. So it forces you to be social. You win a big bet, you playing craps, anything you do, you're always going to get a nice dinner in Vegas. Like that's always going to happen. The best steakhouses are open late as fuck. So then you're going to go sit down and go to dinner. Then you're going to get a drink. Then you're meeting people, right? So the whole thing had this built-in gregariousness. Even the way you had to close deals in my 20s. There were some nights I'd be waiting to make a sale. There's a bet I wanted to place the next morning. I would literally have to sit at a coffee house sometimes till 9 p.m. at night, sipping back-to-back macchiatos, waiting for a motherfucker in a bowler hat and a trench coat with fucking fisherman boots to walk in the door. I still remember when these motherfuckers would walk in the door, that fucking jingle ball on the fucking door. You hear the fucking door jingle. Motherfucker would come in, sit down. We would ink a deal. I'd get a bag, and then boom, I'm off to the races the next morning. So even just doing typical basic commerce, you had to make eye contact with motherfuckers. There was no fucking hiding behind avatars. There was none of that bullshit. And if you don't think that that's going to develop a razor sharp motherfucking charisma when you're doing face-to-face sales, you are mega tripping. There is nothing better than just being in the arena every day, doing deals and everything fucking handshakes and face-to-face. And I got to experience that my entire fucking 20s. Full suite experience. It ain't like that today. I mean, that's one of the biggest reasons why Vegas has been dismantled. Vegas is a devastated land right now. It's a bad land. It's a fucking wasteland. No one even really wants to go to Vegas because there's just so many other more convenient options. You got fucking crypto gaming. You got fucking sports books in every other state. No one gives a fuck anymore. The allure has been destroyed for all intents and purposes. So you ain't gonna recapture those experiences in the modern world. And like even those of us who are the most adventurous are kind of forced to go into these lame avenues of making money, right? Everything's fucking remote. And the consequences of this socially on our youth, I'm telling you, give it 10 years and watch the fucking social retardation that you see spawning from everyone just making money from their fucking home and shooting emails and jumping on a quick phone call. And just the amount of energy that you had to have to run around town, getting valet, getting fucking rental cars, landing at the fucking airport. I mean, you're talking literally a full fucking day just to get a bet down. It's like a 10, 11-hour investment. And not only did you just invest 11 hours of your day, you might just get there and you might get wiped out to zero in like 2 hours and might have to go home and restart the whole process. It's another 11 hours back. By the time you fucking recapture your mental game, by the time you're settled in, by the time you're home, by the time you got your routine finished, you're at home and your whole day has been pissed away. And it's a fucking shame that some of you motherfuckers will never get to experience that. So yeah, the era of the bad boy is done. It's over. I mean, bad boys are down horrendous in the modern world. Down horrifically. Because you gotta adapt or be killed. There's another piece that I wanted to harp on for a second. There's this common misconception that I see everywhere on Twitter where a lot of young men have somehow been inculcated with the idea that as a male, you're supposed to be very protective of your energy. Like who you let into your energy, what kind of negativity you expose yourself to. That is the gayest fucking thing I've ever heard by a mile. Because men by nature, by our very nature, are men don't take on the energy of other beings like women do. Women are very susceptible to negativity, to negative energy, to negative spirit, shit like that. Men, not so much. Men, not so much. You know what I'm saying? The county coroner can be fucking picking up literally bone scraps from a motherfucker who just got into a head-on collision on the highway. And that motherfucker can do his job, collect the fucking grizzle and human bones scattered all over the fucking highway. And guess what? When he goes home to his wife and kids, he ain't dumping that negative energy on them. Men are flame retardant in that way. We're flame retardant. Like the flame doesn't really bite deeply when men are operating in a high performance position that requires a tremendous amount of stress. Neurosurgeons also ring a bell. Motherfuckers who are drilling skulls open and doing craniotomies and clamping aneurysms. I mean, these motherfuckers you got to be cut from a different cloth to want to be doing something like that. Like we all know that's not a normal path. You got to be relatively kind of sadistic in your own head to be doing that type of shit, to be playing God with other people's lives. And these motherfuckers are in there drilling people's heads open, removing the top like a fucking piece of glass, going in there and fucking with the circuitry in people's brains. And they come home to their wife and kids, and that energy don't rub off on them either. Men are very, very naturally resistant towards energy. You know, there's a lot of rhetoric on Twitter right now about men sleeping with trashy women or stuff like that, and how it's just as perilous for men to go down this avenue because that is a complete fucking crock of shit. I know so many fucking Casanovas who've ran through tons of women. Men do not pick up the craziness or insanity or energy of women the same way that women do to men. It's just not the case. We all know if you analyze it deep enough, you know you can get away with being with a crazy ass chick for a short period of time, and you walk away from that and it just sloughs right off your fucking back like water. Come on, baby. Who the fuck you trying to fool here? Men are naturally durable as fuck, as I've always said. So the energy just doesn't rub off. And for that reason, I have always enjoyed taking on the toughest cases, toughest challenges. I talk to everybody, by the way. I talk to everybody. I talk to the biggest losers on earth. I'll talk to fucking crackheads, psychos, criminals, fucking robber barons. I don't give a fuck. I will sit down with anyone and have a conversation. I don't care how gory, I don't care how graphic, I don't care how fucked up clinically someone is. I'll have a conversation because I'm walking away from that and I'm very thick skinned. That is not gonna perturb my life or my psyche. I can go in, have the performance, and then boom, compartmentalize and check out. And compartmentalization is 100% a male feature, bona fide male feature. And I think a lot of you motherfuckers are afraid to expose yourself to some of these darker energies in other people. And you're doing yourself a massive disservice socially, because that's really where you fucking kind of tickle the underbelly of the beast and learn the most about human nature, is by dealing with motherfuckers who are not considered classically normal. And so lack of exposure to that, there's no other way to see it as just a preservation of innocence, which is a feminine trait. Women should absolutely have their innocence preserved, and men should have theirs taken away as early as possible. It circles perfectly into my point about how, here's another bullshit piece of rhetoric for you guys to fucking chew on. Let me tell you this right now. This is a bona fide lie. This idea that winners and killers only hang out with winners and killers, that rich motherfuckers only hang out with rich motherfuckers. Get the fuck out of here. You want both. Real winners have a cadre of both. Every winner that I know that's a true winner, that's crushing it in their field, has tons of fucking losers on their team. I don't think you motherfuckers truly understand how utilitarian losers are. And when I say loser, I mean net worth. All right, that's how we're gauging it here. We're just talking about someone who's just broke or never handled large sums of money or just doesn't know how to play the game of capitalism. That's what we classically would call a loser. So here's the situation. Let me explain this to you. We all know that the smartest motherfuckers that you know right now, think about this, the people that you love, that you would want to smoke on a fucking Tuscan balcony, smoking a cigar, the smartest motherfuckers that you would love to speak to in your personal life are most likely not very flush with cash. We all know these guys. We all know geniuses that have unbelievable, unbridled knowledge and wisdom about everything. But for some reason, they don't know how to execute for themselves, and they don't know how to self-promote, and they don't know how to make a buck. But they're smart as fuck. We all know these people, and they're very interesting to talk to. And the reason being for that is that losing teaches you everything about life. That's a fucking fact. Winning teaches you absolutely nothing about life. Nothing. Zero. There is zero wisdom to be gleaned from winning. All of life lessons are taught when you get your ass handed to you. So naturally, losers are always extremely fucking wise. I'll tell you right now, some of the best fucking advice I've ever gotten in my life has been from straight fucking losers. I'm talking business advice, even fucking crypto calls. I'll tell you this, 3 years ago in crypto, early on, I ran up a massive bag. I ran up an 8-figure bag. Or it might have been 2020. And you motherfuckers won't believe who was giving me my calls. It was some broke motherfucker living in a dormitory in like Chicago. Broke. Broke. And I was going to him for the crypto calls, even though at the time I had a deep network and I could have talked to motherfuckers with like 9-figure portfolios. I don't want to talk to those motherfuckers. I want to talk to the guy who's in the trenches, who doesn't have bread, who's literally trying to fucking sift through the fucking haystack to find these gem calls because his literal life is fucking dependent on it. This motherfucker better make good calls or he's gonna miss a fucking massive cycle. And I know for a fact there's tons of motherfuckers on this show listening right now who you don't have much money, but you know you're fucking talented traders. You make fucking great calls all the time. You just don't have the fucking capital or size to make a fucking difference. So my point is, a motherfucker like me, I'm getting the best calls of my life. And every time I'd get on the phone with this kid, he'd be like, I don't understand why you're talking to me. He's like, you have access to these fucking Discords, the fucking group chats. Why are you getting the advice from me? And I told him, look, man, it's the sincerity. It's the sincerity. Like your calls, your picks are gonna be as pure, untainted as humanly possible because you have to win. You're hungry. So I'm gonna ride with you. And by the way, his narratives, everything he would express to me was geniusly fucking articulated. It's not like this guy was feeding me spoons of bullshit because I have a great detector for that. This motherfucker was on point. He was calling the narratives out before they were happening. So I literally rode a broke college kid's fucking picks who had $0 to his name. I rode that shit to 8 figures. And my point is, if you're a real leader and you're really the guy, you can turn anybody into a winner on your team. There's like the loser dichotomy gets very foggy after a while. It gets very hazy. The lines get very, very blurred if you're a true leader because you'll bring out the best. You will literally make losers look like winners if they're on your squad. And some of these guys have a ton of fucking heart. You know what I'm saying? They're just genetically cucked in the sense that like they have multiple generations of family members that simply just never made money. So it's kind of genetically encoded in them to not really be that ambitious, et cetera, et cetera. Because I do think money is genes. Money is 100% genetic. Like the ability to generate money, the kind of numbers you play with, it's genetic. If you got fucking royal blood who's been dealing with large sums of fucking money, I mean, I can fucking paradrop you in the Oblast in fucking Russia with nothing, and I'm sure you'll be rich in 6 months. You know what I'm saying? So there's definitely a genetic component to this. So my point is the losers, you want both, is the fucking moral of the story. You want fucking both. I want advisement from the 9-figure motherfuckers, but I'm not gonna fucking discount the kid in his fucking dormitory who's putting in 13 hours a day of fucking due diligence. I ain't writing that motherfucker off. I want to talk to him because I want my ears to the ground and I want to understand what the common man has to say because those guys usually have a true finger on the fucking pulse. So I'll tell you right now, the most talented squads in the world have a motley crew of losers and winners and everything, every fucking thing in between. It ain't just all A1 shark killers. Those teams do not work well. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. I don't know if you motherfuckers remember the Vegas Golden Knights hockey team. The first year that they were banded together, the Vegas Golden Knights, that team was assembled as an expansion team. And if you know anything about hockey, when there's an expansion team, every team basically has to drop 1 or 2 players. They have to literally cut them from the roster and they have to donate these players to this team. So every team in the league had to trim the fat and shed their fucking who they felt were their weakest players to assemble the Vegas Golden Knights. Well, let me tell you something. That team ended up fucking crushing that year. They were monsters. And you know what? You know what the common thing was? They were all bonded by rejection. That whole team, every one of them was rejected and kicked off their fucking team. And so they were united behind that. They were united by the concept of fucking rejection. And it bonded them together and they fucking had insane fucking chemistry. And I think they almost won the cup. That team was fucking badass. And they were all just the guys who you literally would have all no names. And then all of a sudden, superstars emerged from that. Fucking lesson in there. Let me run through some of these questions. I'm looking forward to this because my audience is impressive as fuck. Whenever I do these types of things, I'm always impressed at the thoughtfulness and inquisitive nature of some of you motherfuckers. I mean, I definitely have curated a fucking baller audience. You motherfuckers are pretty fucking sharp compared to some of these other fucking accounts that I see. Let's go through here and see what we got. I haven't really read any of this shit. I'm gonna just try to go off the top of the dome and see what we can do. How to balance spending time with your woman without getting too comfortable because of her. So he's asking how to balance spending your time with your woman without getting too comfortable with her. Here you go, baby. This is literally the central thesis behind why they say that the fucking He who wears the crown, the crown is heavy. The crown is fucking heavy. That hoplite, winged, fucking bronze aged fucking helmet that you guys, all you motherfuckers revere, that's a heavy fucking crown. And I'll tell you why. Because living in a household with a woman, as a winner, as a leader, as a fucking steward of a household, you're gonna have to have monkeys on your back. All right? And that's just a fucking fact. There's no way around it. There's gonna be monkeys on your back as a leader, as a winner. And there's gonna be many times in life when you are in a leadership position and you are captain of the fucking ship and you have a crew where you are gonna have to drag motherfucking corpses across the finish line. People who are gassed, people who are tapped out, people who are lacking stamina, motherfuckers who have Montezuma's revenge, motherfuckers who have dyspepsia, fucking health problems. Like, as a leader, your job is to sometimes you gotta literally throw everyone on your fucking back and get across the fucking line. And sometimes you gotta do that over and over and over and over again. Now, I'll tell you right now, there is zero question that having a family, living with a woman, etc., is 100% gonna slow you down. If you're a fucking sharpshooter, cowboy, and motherfucker who likes to fucking run around and run and gun, yes, it's gonna slow you down, 100%. But it's an energy thing. To answer your question, it is an energy thing. If you are a motherfucker who has high energy, this is why high energy is just goated in general. Like, no money is, there's no problem in the world that's a money problem. There's no problems. Everything is an energy problem. Because if you have high energy and you can generate money, energy from scratch out of thin fucking air like an alchemist, you don't have any problems. Everything's fixable. Everything is. Literally out of thin air. So your money problems are an energy problem. Your relationship problems are an energy problem. It's all about high energy. So this is the bottom fucking line. And so if you're a fanatic and you're one of these obsessed freaks like myself and you have a mission and you're hell-bent on some sort of gratification or gratitude or legacy in this life, then you have an abundance of energy. And one of the things that is very controversial, but it's very true, and I want you to really pay attention to what I'm about to tell you, because this is gonna hit hard. When you are a strong male, and when I say strong, I'm not talking muscle. When you're strong, when you're well-rounded, when you don't really have too many weaknesses, motherfuckers, everybody, even the ones who love you the most, are gonna prey on your energy. They're gonna feed off your energy like a fucking parasite. They're gonna have to. They're gonna have to. But you have so much of it that you can afford to let a little bit of that cannibalism happen. And that's exactly what goes on in a household. There's a level of like vampiric cannibalism that goes on an energy level, where if you're a dude who has a grand fucking mission and you need to accomplish something, but you also have a woman to take care of, you got kids to take care of, you got employees, you got mouths to feed, all of these people will be preying on your energy, but you don't give a fuck because you know you never lose. So you don't mind having the monkey on your back. You know what I'm saying? And this is why I told you the holy grail in 2024 for running a proper relationship and being in a long-term one that's going to work for a really long time, I'm telling you right now, without a shadow of a fucking doubt, it is your woman has to perceive on some level that you are crazier than she is. That is it. That is literally the fucking Rosetta Stone. If your woman perceives that you are crazier than her, because women have a lot of energy. Women can get ferocious, right? Women love long, drawn-out arguments and fights. They can go for fucking hours. But if you're a motherfucker with the stamina to hang in there and you got the endurance, and you can just let everything fucking pile up on you and you can still accomplish your tasks and manage it all, you're gonna literally go, like, there's no limits in the sky of what you can achieve. And so as a leader, you got to be comfortable giving your energy away. And this ties in perfectly to what I just told you guys about the losers, right? Like, there's a lot of you that are talking about protect my time, protect my energy. Motherfucker, you are low energy if that's the way you live. If you have to be parsimonious with your energy and reserve and conserve, you're a low energy motherfucker. And that's a huge problem. And that's the root of your problem. There's no amount of avoidance, seeing a bum on the street and walking across the street. There's no amount of avoidance of negative energy that's going to solve the root of that problem. You have an energy problem. And if you're a high energy motherfucker who's going all the fucking time, you don't give a fuck about giving away your energy because you're always going to get it back. Do you understand the metaphor? And that's the same with money. The reason why a high energy motherfucker like Elon Musk, me, anybody who's high energy can take these megalithic fucking mammoth risks and be okay with the outcome is because you got the energy to fall back on. It's never about the money to fall back on. It's not even about the confidence to fall back on. The energy is the confidence. Do you understand? The energy is the Ding an sich, the thing in itself. It's the German philosopher. The Ding an sich, the energy in itself is the thing in itself. And that's all you should be focused on. And the way to get that Promethean godlike energy is to not obey the conscious mind. Do you understand? Someone asked me, I'm gonna pull up this fucking comment right now. I'm gonna pull this up for you because you gotta listen to this. Here's one of the questions in the comment section. He goes, when you made all the money that you did, why did you keep going after you beat the game and continue to take risks? He's making a mention of the fact that I told you guys I burned 17 million in like 2017. He's asking me if you had all that money and you beat the game of capitalism, why didn't you quit? Let me tell you something. If I was conscious of why I was gunning for that kind of money, I would have never made that money in the first place. Chew on that one for a second. If I was consciously aware of why I was gunning for 20, 30, 40, 50 million, I never would have come close to that number in the first place. It's because I was unconscious that I achieved it. Do you understand? Like, good luck trying to consciously be a fucking professional baseball player. Good luck with that. There's nobody in the MLB right now who consciously chose that path. They had no choice. They had to become it. Like, it's really that fucking real. Like, if you have to consciously walk yourself into situations and talk yourself up to get stuff done or to become someone or something, you're not going to go very far. You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, the whole leaning into your nature thing is actually a good metaphor of that death rebirth parable that I gave you, because it really is about stripping away. Leaning into your nature is about letting the reptilian brain run the show, and you just step out of your own way. I will venture to tell you that the biggest winners in life don't really do that much different shit than every other ordinary person. They just stay out of their own way less than everybody else. Like the conscious, hyper normie, thoughtful Apollonian types, they're just always standing in their own fucking way, preventing themselves. Like they have the override button. They're just gonna consciously override their animal, bestial impulses all the fucking time through reason and rationale, that sort of Apollonian method. And they're gonna just constantly minimize entropy. You're never gonna maximize entropy. You're never gonna throw the deck of cards in the air and see what lands. It's never gonna happen for you in that context. I'm gonna ask another question right now. Yeah, this fucking questions were good. How has high stakes living, gambling, etc., cultivated the deepest parts of your character to the surface, the ones that most people don't even entertain? Well, I just answered that. I mean, the high stakes living, look, all my bets are hedged in life. Do you understand? Like, I can fire indiscriminately and recklessly because all my bets are hedged, because my hedge is my energy. I have an endless well of energy. I'm doing what I was cosmically designed to do, which is take risk. It's just in my fucking blood. I don't have to consciously do a goddamn thing. I wake up every day and I'm on the fucking prowl. I have been forever. It's always been like this. Like I literally took my hands off the wheel so long ago. And this is sort of like some Eastern mystic offshoot bramble that I'm talking about. It's like sort of an olive branch, and I understand that, but it's so fucking true. It's like you gotta ride the winds of life. Sometimes you gotta work with the wind. You know what I mean? When the wind ain't blowing, sometimes you're doing nothing. One of the most interesting things about hunting in general is that when you think about a hunter, you think about an aggressor, right? You think about a fucking ferocious predator that's feral. But one of the most interesting facets of hunting in general is the patience aspect of it. The most important part of a hunt is the patience. I've seen this live. I've seen fucking red-tailed hawks chilling up in the branch doing nothing, sitting on their hands doing nothing, metaphorically, scanning the fucking environment. They look bored to tears because they're fucking dopamine junkies. All predators are. And they're just watching and they're not moving a muscle. And then boom, they see the opportunity and they go full fucking ballistic, fast twitch muscle fiber strike. And that is the prototypical human way to live, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Who makes the most bags in crypto? Some motherfuckers who just sit and wait and do nothing, right? And then boom, sell at the top or close to it. Like hunting is a very patience based, very, extremely. It's arguably more important than the offensive attack itself. It's just finding the correct opportunity. And it's funny that animals do that. Animals will only go for low leverage opportunity if they're dying and their back's against the wall and it's like the fucking, it's their clarion call. Then they'll fucking go for a stupid fucking gamble or try to take down an animal that's risky if they're literally starving to death. But predators are pretty high leverage animals and they only attack in situations where it makes perfect sense to do so. And I believe humans are no different. And so a lot of the success in life is just about literally stepping out of your own fucking way. Take your hands off the wheel sometimes, you get the best news of your life. You know what I'm saying? You can go get a tarot card reading right now. You can get the broken heart lovers cards. You can fucking get the fucking black Mustang. Whatever the fuck the symbolism is. You can go to the doctor and he can tell you you need to come back in for scans. But I guarantee you if you take your hand off the wheel for a second and just surf the tides of life, you'll get the best news you've ever fucking heard. That's how it works. Everyone's trying to fucking intervene and exert too much fucking control and power over everything. And that's sort of the thing that I was trying to examine about the losing streak. Because I had a tweet about losing streaks this week because I find them to be intriguing and they're very under discussed. Losing streaks, like the science and technology and telemetry of a losing streak, is a very under discussed topic in society because everything has been hyper normified. And most people are not lunatic enough to even go deep enough into a process to even have an unbelievable, statistically improbable losing streak. Like most people, if they try something and they lose 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 times is the threshold, your average person is just gonna be like, this shit ain't for me, and turn around and walk the other way. But some of us, the more enthusiastic, the more risk inclined, will literally battering ram that same process hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times and absorb a multiple hundred fucking losing streak before we get a win. And I've done this, by the way. I ran one of the greatest fucking social experiments ever because I wanted to understand the science behind a losing streak. Like, how is this possible? Because the math doesn't check out. There's something supernatural going on here. Some of you will recall one of my older spaces. I I had a 6-month losing streak where I did not have one winning day. And I just kept firing. And I just kept firing. And I just kept firing. And I was firing into a wall, beating my head against the wall every day. And to this day, I have no idea how I came out of the other side of this losing streak because I've never been so imbued with wrath and fury during this particular period of my life. It was unbelievable that nothing I did. So basically, the streak was going on for so long that I was like, You know what? Fuck it. System ain't working. My picks ain't working. My mental game's not there. I'm gonna start doing fucking wacky shit to try to make these calls. Like, let's fucking hire a fucking capuchin and have that motherfucker start throwing darts at the picks. Let's fucking call up a random dude I haven't talked to in 6 years, ask him who he likes, whoever he says, let's fucking do it. Let's fucking blindfold me, turn myself around 3 times, and I'll just fucking keno the picks. I'll just randomly pick picks on the fucking board blindfolded. I tried every fucking trick in the book, offloading it, having someone else make the calls. Guess what? The losing streak got worse. It got worse. And I'm telling you the reason is that when you exert too much control over anything, because even offloading it to someone else and having them make the calls, I'm trying to kind of biohack it in a way, right? I'm trying to hack reality. I'm offloading, I'm shouldering it to somebody else, but I'm still exerting control. And I just see over and over again in my life, the biggest wisdom that I've accrued is that people who are always trying to exert way too much control over situations get fucking smoked the hardest. Smoked. Smoked. I mean, you see this in professional sports. There's a phenomenon in professional sports called the yips, where it's called the yips. A baseball player, a pitcher, will literally be on the mound and he'll have sound biomechanics for an entire season. And then maybe playoffs will come around. And something happens to where he becomes consciously aware of what he's doing. He becomes consciously aware of the movement for whatever reason. And now the motherfucker can't hit the strike zone. It'll be the best pitcher in the world. They all go through the yips, every single one of them. And it's always the conscious awareness of the movement, throws them off cadence, throws them off rhythm. And you get into a massively vicious cycle where these guys are in their head now. They're up on the mound. They're like, fuck, I got to kick my foot back here. I got to fucking extend my shoulder here. I got to make sure my labrum's in this position. Ball and socket joint. Or my scapula fucking protracted. Shit like that. And now you're analyzing yourself. Now you're breaking yourself down. Now you're cutting yourself to pieces. Guess what? That losing streak doesn't go away until complete dissolution of cognitive awareness is complete. Until you shake it out long enough and you just stop giving a fuck, then the yips go away. But it's insane because you're just in a vicious spiral. The more this mechanic doesn't work, the more you're trying to get it back. The more you try to get it back, the less it works. Now you're analyzing your fucking feet, the way they're positioned. Boom, everything's breaking down. You're making the situation 100 fucking times worse. The mind, the conscious mind, is the most uncooperative son of a bitch in the universe. Prove me wrong. Good luck trying to fucking tame your mind all day. Tell yourself what to do, fucking. Your mind is extremely fucking disobedient. And that's why I'm saying the apex fucking philosophy. And this shit is zen as fuck. But you ain't gonna read it in a book. It's exclusive to these fucking spaces. Take your hands off the fucking wheel and see what happens. Let the reptile navigate. Let the reptile be the cartographer. You know what I'm saying? Let the fucking reptile stencil the map together for you. You'll know what you're naturally inclined to do. You'll understand what your natural impulses are pretty quickly. Rationalization and neocortex living are for retrospect and storytelling. Shit like that. You know what I'm saying? What I'm doing right now. Getting up and telling a story, remembrance, sentimentalism, shit like that, harking back. That's when the neocortex is valid. But during a process, during a streak, during a run, during a mission, your motherfucking enemy. I'm gonna keep answering questions here. Been tearing my head apart looking for the explanation for the exception to the lateral achievement principle. What does it boil down to, achieving something without it being lateral indirect? There is no exception to the lateral achievement principle. You cannot target a goal directly in life. It doesn't work like that. You know what I'm saying? If you're taking long distance shots, which every goal is going to be long distance. You have to factor in the wind, motherfucker. You got to work with it. And a lot of times it involves just putting up enough volume of shots and letting the wind carry the bullet into the fucking bullseye. A lot of you motherfuckers are trying to sharpshoot way too much or going after things directly. The supercar, the house, the fucking French Riviera pad, whatever the fuck your goal is, that ain't the way. It ain't the way. You put up a shot and you got to let the other forces of life kind of coast and guide your shots into the target. It's a fucking volley, man. It's a volley. I mean, I've put up some of the most ridiculous shots, honest to God, likely in human history. I really don't know anyone who's really gambled at my level relatively to just having no real safety net. Like for a guy who's literally tightrope walking Niagara Falls with no harness, I really don't know anyone who's done it at the level. I don't. I think I've carved out a pretty fucking unique path. And I can tell you that